Folks, here we are, Whisky HQ. That's right, it is the head office of the Whisky Club. We're in one of Hobart's classic sandstone, absolutely gorgeous buildings. We're gonna have a dram on the roof and we're gonna enjoy it from there. I'm here at Whisky Club HQ with a whisky legend. It is the godfather of the Australian whisky industry and the founder of Lark Distillery, Mr. Bill Lark. It's a pleasure to have you here, mate.
Seamus, it's a great pleasure to be here.
Drinking whiskey, about to enjoy what is our first in our Seppeltsfield release series, the incredible port cask. Let's get into this whiskey.
Mate, I've been looking forward to this for a long time. Well done.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Oh yeah, that's everything I'd expect and want from a Seppeltsfield cask.
Yeah.
Tawny. I mean, those rich plum pudding fruit cake notes are there, but there's still a beautiful, elegant single malt behind it, spirit behind that. The barrel is so important, and I want to know about the barrel. I want to know what cask this came from.
Yeah.
And I get that up front.
Yeah.
And that's just a ripper for me. And then when it is sitting around your palate and it's oily and big and everything else, that's when I can really understand what it is to have a good Tasmanian malted barley. But on the finish, it's just, it's rich and warming. And
that's the bit you remember too, the bit you're chewing over for a day. It's probably a great jumping off point to talk about why we pursued this release and why we were putting this together.
We've had a good relationship with the Whisky Club now for a long time. We love what you're doing and we've seen the success of our whiskies in your club. But it sort of was brought to mind the relationship and the collaboration we've had with Seppeltsfield and just how important that is to who we are as a distillery.
Yeah.
I remember when I started, I could go anywhere around the country and people would give me their old fortified casks. It was a wonderful time. Then the industry grew.
Thanks to you, mate.
And that all of a sudden changed. And so we did a little bit of research and discovered that in Barossa was this amazing winery, Seppeltsfield. Like no other winery in the world. It has the longest lineage of port than any other winery in the world that goes back to 1878. So in 1874, Joseph Seppelt started his winery. And he laid down his first barrel of Para port in 1878. Of course, they've been producing fortifieds in Spain and Portugal forever, but unfortunately their production was interrupted during the wars and they had to stop. And so they've got gaps in their lineage. And so if you go to Seppeltsfield, there's that wonderful experience of barrels that go back to 1878 with the same port that was put in it by Joseph Seppelt. And so when we discovered that, we thought, well, we've got to go and visit them. We had a great day. And by then, Warren had started to fall in love with the idea of what we wanted the barrels for. Yeah. So he invited us out to dinner, and I guess it's fair to say we probably had a little bit to drink. And at the end of the night, Warren was so wrapped up in the relationship that could form, he asked for my napkin, got out a biro and wrote on the napkin, I, Warren Randall, hereby give Lark Distillery exclusive access to our very best Para port casks. We both signed it.
It's incredible.
And so we've now secured access to these amazing Para Tawny casks. And that's been the backbone of our distillery ever since.
All good whiskey is made out of two fantastic things, great spirit and great casks. How important are those great casks?
Some of these Seppeltsfield casks we know are 50 years old or had the same port in them for as long as that. But the good thing about that is when we get them, they're not overly influencing the whiskey.
Yeah.
It's been in the cask long enough to just give that really richness, toffiness in the whiskey. One of the heroes of this is still that beautiful Tasmanian malt.
Absolutely. And I think that's what makes this such a quintessential Lark, is it does have that Lark backbone to it.
Well, we're lucky that Warren now knows what we do with them. He respects the fact that we treat his barrels with a lot of reverence. And so we can recognise now, or our team recognises what we're looking for in a barrel when we lift the bung.
I think to have a winemaker who has been working on their craft for literally over a century and to have that lineage of casks and be able to compare vintages, it's absolutely incredible. And you have to assume some members haven't had a Lark before, and this is going to be their first impression of it, which is incredibly exciting. And I think if we take that incredible Para Tawny Cask as our starting point from Seppeltsfield and now introduce the amazing Lark Spirit, walk us through what makes perfect Lark Spirit. What's that character?
I guess it's good to go back to when we won our first major award, and the head judge of the World Whisky Awards came up to me at a dinner in Scotland and said, "Congratulations, Bill, you thoroughly deserve to win. What are you doing in Tasmania? How can you produce such a big, rich, oily malt?" For us, that was a really great compliment, because even with the influence of the Seppeltsfield cask, I can still get on the nose overriding that. A really lovely, delicate floral note. And that is, I think, and you would have experienced it, I think that's the golden thread that goes through nearly all of Tasmania's whiskies.
Absolutely.
And I think that's because we all use Tasmanian malted barley, grown and malted here in Tasmania. And so I look for that every time and I get it, and I before we started, I was just enjoying nosing that for that reason. We know we can produce the spirit that will complement a good barrel. We've been doing that for a long time now, 32 years.
Yeah.
So you marry that with a really great Seppeltsfield cask and bingo, what a wonderful whiskey.
Great whiskey, absolutely. I mean, it's a pretty special and pretty laborious way to make your whiskey.
Yeah, but when you want to come up with something special, that's what we do.